Okay, Brittany, we are now officially recording in two places. So if one of them doesn't work, um, it's crazy. Oh, sorry. We're still looking at this guy. Looks like we've only got one answer so far, but 19 people in. That's fantastic. So, Brittany, this is going to be crazy, but I can't really submit my attendance until 30 minutes in or so. So, can you remind me in about 20 minutes? But I've checked to see who's here now. Three people have made a choice. Of course, there's some simplifying probably, right? So that's why this is so nasty. Lots of people have got the same answer, but I can't get any of them quite yet. Do it just one more time. If you're already done, make sure you haven't made the error that I've made. All right. So I'm going to try to share, if I can figure out how to share. This is what we said. Most of us picked B, and that's about what I got. B. Everybody's picking it now? But anyway, most of us picked B, and I think that's right. But when we're all done, we can talk about why if we need to. Here's another one. Oh, we're not going to do that one yet, actually. Okay, so we're going to stop our, like, you can stay signed in, but I'm going to start sharing in the OneNote now. And the next thing I want to do really quick is I just want you to pull out your homework and look at it in a minute. And I'm going to pull up some answers, and I want you to have a look and see if there's any ones that you want to talk about. So let me try to get to sharing my screen. Here were the first two. So you're checking these two against your homework. And do me a favor, in the chat, either put a thumb up because you're ready to move on, or the question that you would want to talk about. So you're either putting a thumb up in the chat, that of course isn't showing up for me. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next set. So now a new set of, like Shannon at 9:54. After this, either you're putting the question in the chat you'd want to talk about or a thumb up. So new sets of thumbs. Actually, I'm going to type it in the chat. Thumb this up or write 3 or 4 in chat. So either thumb up my 9:55 message or write the number that you'd want to talk about. Okay. Fair amount wanting to talk about 3. Probably just means I made an error, but who knows. Okay, I've seen enough. We're going to talk about 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase my work, even though I thought it was pretty clean. They've given us this function h, which shows up in yellow. And they want to know the derivative of h at 1. So can everybody see how this is pretty much the chain rule it has to be? Just go unmute and say like, yeah, that makes sense, Mr. Heffron, or wait, how do you know?
Yeah.
Okay. And so then if it's the chain rule, I'm looking for kind of inner, outer, and I see the very most inner thing as this 3x. So that's why I'm saying, hey, I think my inner function is 3x. The next thing outside of that is fu. And I just put that because I really wanted to say fu, guys. Because I'm trying to be funny. And then outside of that is we're going to take that fu and we're going to square that and then double that. Good so far? Hey, see, that makes sense though?
Yeah.
Okay. And the chain rule then says we need each of these derivatives. And so the derivative of 3x is 3. The derivative of fu is going to be f prime of fu. And the derivative of w will be, well, I'm going to have to bring this 2 down. So I'll have 4 fu to the power of 1. But wait a minute, Mr. Heffron, why didn't you do the chain rule on this? Well, because that's what we're doing. We're doing the chain rule. We're going to pick all that up by multiplying these 3 derivatives together. Our overall h prime of x will be my u prime times my v prime times my w prime. And so that means we'll have 3 times f prime at u. What was u? U was 3x times 4 times f of u, but what was u? It was 3x. That to the power of 1. What do we think so far? Making sense or not?
Yeah.
And now we're going to plug in that 1. So we've got 3 times the derivative of 3 times 4 times no derivative this time, just f of 3. And so the things that we don't have yet, we're going to have to figure out what f of 3 is, and we're going to have to figure out what f prime of 3 is. And so let's see what they gave us. In the problem statement, they gave us f of 3 was -1. So this is really -1. 3 times 4 is 12. The last thing we need is what is f prime of 3? Well, where can we get that, Lynn?
On the graph
Yeah.
where the slope for 3 is.
Yeah, and so let's look and see what the graph said. This said the derivative is shown above. So this really is my derivative. So if I want f prime of 3, I just need to find 3 and see that my derivative is over at 2. If this had been the f graph instead of the f prime graph, then we would need to see that that is a horizontal slope and it's 0, but that's not what we were given. So we want the y value. F prime of 3 is 2. And so that will complete us. 2 times 12 is 24, times is negative 24. Is that what I originally had, or was I wrong? Because I'm wrong all the time. Cesar, do you remember what I had originally?
Yeah, it was that.
Okay. Giovanna, was this helpful going through it like this? Do you better understand it now?
Yes, thank you, Mr.
Yeah, you're welcome. And again, like we're not going to cover quite as much as I plan for us, because it's going to take time to do some of this stuff, and that's okay. But what I want us to do is to go to the collaboration space. And sometimes I'll cold call and do the writing just because I think my pen works better than some of your stuff. But there may be times where I want you guys to write in. So just be ready in the collaboration space to write or to share. Nia, for this very first problem, what would you do to find this derivative?
I would see if I could do the quotient rule.
Okay.
First.
Yeah. So what is the quotient rule? What does it say?
P, the derivative of times Q minus P times the derivative of Q.
Okay.
And then all over Q squared.
Perfect. So let's see. Anna, what's P prime going to be?
X squared plus 1 to the third, I guess.
That's what P would be. P is x squared plus 1 all to the third. What's the derivative of that going to be? What are we going to do with this 3? Do you remember? Do you see it, Anna?
Yeah, I can see there's just a lot of background noise.
That's okay. So 3 is going to multiply. We'll have x squared plus 1. Jessica, what's the new power?
It's going to be 2?
Yeah, it's going to be 2. And then anything else? Is that derivative all done? Or am I missing something, Katie?
You're missing the derivative. You need to multiply 2x.
Okay, because I have an inner function still. My initial inner function was x squared plus 1. So you're exactly right, Katie. I've got to multiply now by a 2x. So that's P prime. We know Q is x minus 3. What's Q prime going to be?
Wouldn't it just be 1?
Yeah, it's just going to be 1. And so my entire derivative, when I put it all together, the hard part, of course, is this first nasty term. So we'll have 3 times 2x. I'm going to make that 6x. We're going to combine those two things. The rest I'll just leave unsimplified. That's my P prime. My Q is x minus 3 minus, my Q prime is 1. My P is x squared plus 1 cubed. This goes over x squared. Not bad, right? Stephen, what do you think? Were you able to follow that? Did we make any mistakes? And like, how was this from the standpoint of being able to follow me questioning out, etc.?
I'm following along.
It's working okay for you? Okay. Is it going too fast or too slow? I'm just trying to gauge how this is working from the student kind of lens. Jerry, how's it going for you? Aaron, how's it going for you? Is this too fast, too slow, or is this okay? Jerry, are you with us? Okay, Jerry, we'll catch you later. I'm going to ask you in a cold call, so be ready. Next one. How would you find the equation of the line tangent to f at x equals 1? On your paper, just try to figure out what would be right. And then I'll cold call out in a minute. So you're just working on, hey, we've got this derivative from before. What's the equation of the tangent line going to be? I'm going to give us a minute of work time. And then be ready to share out. About another 20 seconds. Okay, that's at our minute mark. Lynn, tell me how you started.
I wrote out y minus y1 equals m times parentheses x minus x1.
Love it. Was there anything in there that you could populate?
I could substitute x1 for 1.
Okay, so that would be a 1. Anything else? It might take a little work, but anything else we're ready to plug in? Or we could be ready without too much work?
Plug in 1 for fx.
Okay, so 1 in here, and that means 1 here and 1 there. What do you guys think? Is that the right approach? Shannon, does that seem like the right approach to you?
Yes.
Did anybody plug in 1 and get an answer for f of 1? If not, do that right now. But if you've got it, why don't you shout it out?
-4.
-4. Can anybody confirm that?
Yeah, I got the same.
Great. So we've got y minus a -4 equals m times x minus 1. Jerry, what are we missing? Coming back at you, Jerry. What are we missing? Okay, and how do we find it? Can you go unmute? Is it quiet enough in your environment to be able to unmute and tell us how you might get M? Jerry, put in the chat either, yeah, I'm about to respond, or I can't, but type out what you would do. Oswaldo, can you jump in, just for the sake of time?
For which question, Mister?
So Jerry's kind of working on M. He knows that M is missing. How can we get it? We've populated everything but this M in our line equation.
Do we have any x values that we can plug in to test it or no?
So, well, let's go back and look at the question. Find the
Like,
equation.
Can you use x equals 1?
I mean, what else could we use?
So yeah, x equals 1.
Where should we place that? Where does that go?
Where the x is?
Okay, but into what? Should I put it into f of x?
No, into the equation you got at the end.
Okay, so into this big derivative, into f prime of x. Is that where it goes?
Yeah.
Great. Yep, and that's exactly right. So as we plug in a 1, Cesar, do you have what that slope is? Do you have that ready for us?
I got -14, but I kind of messed up, so I don't know if that's right.
Anybody confirm?
I got this.
And it was -14?
Yeah.
Any other confirmations? Can we get one more?
Yeah, it was -14.
Okay, great job, everybody. Now, this I'm going to call kind of a BC level derivative AP problem. I want everybody to read it. I'm going to give you about 30 seconds of kind of think time of just what you might do. And then be ready to share out. So take a minute, read it. We're going to go maybe more like a minute of think time. Great job using the chat, Hasey. And pay special note to calculator OK as you're planning. Okay, Aaron, what has been your strategy so far? What are you thinking you're going to do?
I think that we have to plug in the 6 somewhere, or like that we have to use that at some point.
Okay, so we know that 6 is going to be important. What is 6 equal to, Yair? According to the problem statement, what is 6 equal to? Hasey says the slope. Is she right? Yair, are you with me?
Yeah.
What is 6 equal to?
G prime.
Okay, I like that even more, G prime, because slope is given in the problem, but G prime is really what it represents in calculus, the derivative of G. So did anybody start taking that derivative? If not, let's spend 1 minute and see how far we can get into taking that derivative, because we know that Yair said, hey, we're going to need it, because that's got to be equal to 6. Let's take a look at what I've written. How'd I do? Manuel, how'd I do? Do you see any errors?
I think it's in the Q prime that there's a 3.
Oh, so there shouldn't be a 3 there?
Nah.
What do you guys, does everybody agree? Should that 3 that I'm highlighting, should it be there? Brittany agrees, lots of agreement. Okay, so I'm going to erase that. Good call, Manuel. Any other errors? Brittany, do you see any other errors? Go ahead, Nia. You were going to say something.
I think. Oh, never mind.
There is one.
Wait, mister, aren't
Yeah.
you supposed
Go ahead, Hasey.
isn't it supposed to be an addition sign? Like right there?
Oh, yeah, so I screwed that up. I used the quotient rule, didn't I? Started to. Katie, do you see anything else?
Isn't it the
The P. So this 2x is wrong?
I think you forgot the negative sign. Right? Is it?
What negative sign?
I think I see a negative sign like before the equation. Or is that a?
Oh,
equal
that's
sign?
an equal sign, yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's okay. That's
I
fair
think
though.
it's is that you put P prime instead of P.
Okay, I did. I should have had just the original P, which was x squared plus 1. And so, like, just a reminder, this is my P, this is my Q. If you write down everything correctly, then really all you're doing is substituting everything underneath. And so now, Aaron, can I just plug a 6 in for all these x's?
No, I don't think so.
Why not?
Because 6 isn't our x value.
Yeah, what is 6?
6 is the value of that with x plugged in.
Okay, so this whole mess that I just calculated, that's what's equal to 6. Great job. Anybody want to go through this algebra of trying to solve that equation? Holy cow, it looks like a nightmare. Any other thoughts?
Let's graph it.
Yeah, bingo, Cesar. This is really just a function. So is this. We can graph them. And what are we going to look for? If I were to graph this function on the right as y1, and this function equal to 6 is y2, what would I be looking for? Not quite where the slope is 6. Not quite where y is equal to 6. But only where y1 equals y2. We're looking for where they cross. Whatever that value of x is, where they cross, is the only value of x that makes this entire equation true. Does that make sense? So let's take a look and let's try to do it. I want you guys to do it on your calculators. I'm going to do it on mine. In y equals, I'm going to have one thing as 6 and one thing as, and I'm going to need to use all my parentheses, 2x parentheses x cubed minus 3 plus 3x squared, close my parentheses, x squared plus 1. Okay, and now I'm going to graph it, and I'm going to go zoom 6, because that's kind of a standard zoom, just to see if it's close enough to pick it up. Looks like there's 2 intersections, but in the problem statement, notice what they said. Determine the positive value of x. So as I look at this graph, I only want the positive one, not the negative one. Okay, $100 for the person who can tell me what that answer is. Of course, I wish I could give that, but treat it like that. When I ask one of these questions, like really think about, oh, I'm going to try to make it and get it right first. What is that value of x where they cross? Oh, good call, Brittany.
The positive value?
Yeah.
The positive one?
Yep. So what I'm doing is I'm doing an intersection. First curve, I hit enter. Second curve, I hit enter. Now it's asking me for a guess. I can hit enter. 1.1559. While I take attendance, make sure you can get that number. Was it 1559, I think? Let me just make sure I've got it right. 1.1559. While I'm taking attendance, I want you guys to get that, see if you can make sure to get that number. Okay, have you guys been able to get this number of 1.1559? Let me ask it this way. Did anybody have any trouble getting it? Because that kind of problem will be on your, that's the kind of stuff that I'll ask you on your assessments, the harder things like that. Raul, were you able to get that number? Come on, Raul. When I ask you, you gotta help me out. You gotta go right there with, yeah, I got it. Katie, were you able to get there?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. Anybody have any trouble? Okay, put a thumbs down in the chat if you had trouble. Otherwise, I want everybody to take a minute. Let's find this derivative with the x's and y's. And what is the one thing to remember as we do one like this? Jerry, are you with us? We've just got a couple minutes. What rule do I need to take the derivative of x times y? Jerry, what rule do I need for the derivative of x times y? Raul, what rule do I need for x times y? Sounds like you had some trouble hearing. Can you hear me now?
Don't you need product rule?
You do. Very good. So I'll need a p prime q plus a q prime p just for that term. Next term is easy, right?
Mister, you're muted.
Thank you, Cesar. I don't remember unmuting, but anyway. Next one would be 6x. Next one would be 8y equals 2y. Do you guys see any errors with what I've done so far? Any problems with what you see?
Mr. When you take derivative of the y thing, don't you have to multiply dy dx?
You do. Very good. So you caught my error. I made the same mistake every time. This should have a dy dx. So should this one. I'm going to call it y prime. Just very good, Brittany, to be fast. And also I needed it here. And so that would be the derivative. And since I need to solve for dy dx, my last piece here would be, hey, I need to get all the dy dx's on the same side. So since I have dy dx by itself on the right, I'm going to move the 8y dy dx, and I'm going to move the negative xy prime. What do I have left? Y plus 6x equals 2y y prime plus 8y y prime minus x y prime. What's the last thing I should do here? Aaron, do you see it? Just because I don't want to run over, I'm doing what I think I would do. I would factor out every term, the y prime from every term. And then my final answer would be y prime equals y plus 6x over 2y plus 8y minus x. Those that I looked at, the homework looked great. I will continue to check them. I can't remember if I've given you a homework yet for today, but I will, if I put one out there, I will put something in the chat for this meeting as soon as it's ready. It'll be short, but it'll be practicing the kind of stuff we just did. Tell me just like in the chat as you're leaving, what was good, what was hard about today, so that I know as I plan future lessons. Does that make sense? And unmute and say goodbye to everybody, because I think we're at time. Yeah, we're at time.
Bye, Mr.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Mr. Have
Bye,
fun.
Mr.
Bye.
And again,
Bye.
send me Send me
Bye.
things in the chat. Hey, this is what was good. This is
Take
what was
care,
hard.
mister.
Bye, Mr.
Bye, guys.